Imagine inheriting an old mountain home only to have the local HOA president storm your driveway, papering you with bogus fines, booting your truck, and even calling the cops on you, despite your deed dating back to 1968. Follow retired Army Logistics Chief Garrett Chen as he decodes county plat maps, uncovers a $500,000 embezzlement scheme, hires forensic accountants, buys the HOA's own mortgage note under their feet, and leads 147 households to vote out a tyrant. Courtroom showdowns, police interventions, a bribery attempt caught on camera, a grassroots community uprising, and a satisfying press conference finale. So if you like stories like this, like and subscribe for more. It was 7:42 a.m. when I settled on the front lawn, steaming cup of coffee in hand, the sun just clearing Pinehurst Valley's pine-tipped ridges. I just inherited this 2.25-acre ranch house from my Uncle Monty, paid off for decades and was ready for a slow renovation and quiet retirement. Then 2 police cruisers swept down the gravel driveway, lights flashing red and blue. A woman in high-end workout gear stood at the property line, finger pointed like I'd just broken in. Her Lexus idled behind her, engine purring. She introduced herself as Dahlia Pritchett, president of the Pinehurst Meadows HOA. The officer stepped forward. "We got a call about trespassing and vandalism." I blinked. "Officer, this is mine. My uncle passed the deed to me. I'm not in any HOA." Her grin sharpened. "That's what squatters say. Your land's been in our association since incorporation in 1992. I have your file right here." She handed me a glossy packet. 2 years of unpaid dues, future monthly fees, a climatization surcharge. Total, $40-odd $100. I've read a few military contracts. This smelled like extortion. "I'll talk to my lawyer before I pay a cent." Her honeyed tone frosted over. "Our covenants are clear about non-compliance. I wouldn't want you to start on the wrong foot." She tapped my work truck. "Commercial vehicles aren't allowed on driveways. You've got until tomorrow to garage it or face fines." She belt-snapped on. "Oh, and that mailbox needs to be black or dark green. Change it by Friday or it's another fine." She vanished back into her Lexus, leaving a trail of expensive perfume. I retreated to the porch, dug out Monty's 1968 survey map. My parcel, Lot 447, Block 12, sat well outside Pinehurst Meadows' boundaries. But doubt gnawed. What if I'd missed something? Army taught me, never strike until you know the terrain. I tore out to the county clerk's office 2 days later and pulled every plat map and chain of title document. After 40 minutes under flickering fluorescence, I found it. My lot was explicitly excluded from the 1989 plat. The HOA's claim of automatic enrollment was a crude lie. Even better, 2 boundary expansion attempts in 2003 and 2011 had been shot down for faulty procedure. I snapped photos of every page and called my old buddy Luther Chen, now a real estate attorney in Denver. He reviewed the evidence, swore softly, then said, "This is criminal fraud. Ignore every fine. If they try to enforce it, we bury them." That night, I drafted a cease and desist letter citing the plat exclusions, county denials, and demanding they stop harassing me. I mailed it certified with return receipt. Day 12. I returned to find a bright yellow boot on my truck. Under the wiper, a notice claiming HOA authority to immobilize vehicles for unpaid fines. I rang up Hector, a locksmith friend, who ground the boot off in 90 seconds, took pictures for evidence, and warned me the HOA was escalating. A week later, at 7:42 a.m. on the dot, I was hammering new cedar posts for a rustic mailbox replacement when 2 sheriff's cars screeched up my drive. Officer Martinez, a no-nonsense type, asked for ID and proof of ownership. I handed over my license and the folder of maps and deeds. Dahlia and her board had assembled behind her attorney Kyle Hendricks, strutting in a tailored suit. "Officer," Dahlia snarled, "this man's been threatening board members, refusing to pay legitimate fees, even vandalizing our signs." Martinez raised a hand. He studied my documents, radioed dispatch, and after a tense minute announced, County records show Mr. Chen's parcel isn't subject to any HOA covenant. This is a civil matter. You'll need to take this to court, not emergency services." Dahlia sputtered. Kyle spluttered. Neighbors had gathered at the edge of the road. I looked at them and said, "If you've ever paid dues here, check your deed. You might not be in this HOA either." That evening, my phone rang. Neighbors who'd been fined, threatened, or forced to tear down pre-existing structures. They'd bowed their heads in silence until now. 2 days later, I opened a certified letter from Kyle's firm claiming a lien for $800 to $700 in back dues and legal fees, threatening foreclosure. I called Luther. "They can't lien what they don't own," he said, "but they'll file anyway to cloud your title. They're betting you'll pay to clear it." Then my insurer sent a notice that my policy was under review after an anonymous complaint. Premiums would triple unless I resolved code violations, a phantom report. This was now a campaign of financial attrition. She wanted me out. I assembled the Pinehurst Property Rights Group in the old living room. 20 neighbors who'd been hit by bogus fines. Jean, a Vietnam vet, Iris, a retiree with a costly fence dispute, and the Barolos with their unused pool. We pored over plat maps, meeting minutes, spreadsheets of missing money. They'd levied a special road assessment of $4,500 per household, over $60,000, and not a pothole was fixed. Luther joined by video. If the HOA never owned your land, you can sue for slander of title. If they knowingly took dues from non-members, that's theft by deception, but they'll bury you in court. We need a faster play. Yolanda, a former IRS agent, had unearthed HOA bank statements, a $280,000 deficit, a checking account balance of $42. Worse, the management company billing $4,500 a month, Pritchett Property Services, was owned by Dahlia and her husband, a county commissioner. They'd created shell invoices, siphoned dues out, and laundered the money through fake contractors. My blood boiled. Luther's plan: buy the HOA's own mortgage note on the common property, the pool, clubhouse gates, after they defaulted. Then we'd foreclose on the association itself, dissolve it, and redistribute assets to real members. We'd need roughly $95,000 to acquire the note at a distressed price. I had $40,000 from Uncle Monty. Iris, Jean, the Barolos, and 4 others pledged another $50,000. Luther covered the rest. In a week we closed, handing over a cashier's check to the note holder. Their jaws nearly hit the floor. That night my spray painted with "Leave." Martinez took the report, dusted for prints. The next day we threw a block party BBQ with 60 neighbors. Laughter and smoke from the grill replaced tension. I realized Pinterest had found its voice. Day 50. We gathered at the county courthouse for a civil hearing. Judge Rathburn, a former JAG, sat behind the bench. Dahlia's table was a fortress of expensive binders. Kyle clutched more folder than a schoolteacher with grading. Our side had Luther, me, Iris, and Jean. Kyle opened with a motion to halt the special election, accusing me of defamation and harassment. Luther responded by laying out every survey map, rejection, letter, financial audit, and subpoenaed bank statement, proof of $300,000 in ghost invoices and Dahlia's false enrollment claims. The judge looked at Dahlia. "Do you have documentation showing Mr. Chen's parcel was ever in your HOA?" She stammered, "We can submit it later." He cut her off. "If you can't produce it today, your motion is denied." Then he announced he was referring the case to the district attorney for criminal fraud and embezzlement. The gavel fell like a hammer on corrupt entitlement. Word spread like wildfire. Neighbors came forward sharing their stories. Tamsin, a former board member who'd been paid to ignore budget questions, handed over emails showing Dahlia's orders. Then an unmarked envelope of cash appeared in my mailbox, $25,000 with a typed note demanding I drop the case. Martinez processed it as evidence of witness tampering. The plotters were panicking. 3 days before Election Day, Dahlia mailed 4-color propaganda flyers to every home, slandering me with fake criminal records and doctored photos. I countered with public records screenshots posted in the neighborhood group exposing her lies. Calls came from terrified new residents. I reassured them with county deeds and legal citations. The day before the vote, Dahlia tried to rewrite the bylaws at an emergency board meeting, raising the quorum from 25% to 50% to kill our recall. Martinez joined us, reminded her she was violating Colorado law by holding a closed session for a bylaw amendment, and cited a $5,000 fine per offense. She stormed out, leaving her hired bouncer to glare at us. Election Day arrived. 71% turnout, 104 ballots, 89 votes for our slate, 14 for Dahlia's, 1 abstention. The clubhouse erupted in cheering, tears, applause. I was elected HOA president. First motion, waive all illegitimate fines. Second, hire an independent audit of the past 10 years. Third, full cooperation with prosecutors. Dahlia burst in late, disheveled, screaming threats. Martinez escorted her out. Reporters swarmed. I held a press conference. We've uncovered nearly $280,000 in misappropriated funds, a management company shell game, and threats against homeowners. I've acquired the HOA's mortgage note and will transfer all common property to a community land trust with transparent governance, voluntary membership only. In the weeks that followed, the DA opened a grand jury. Dahlia was indicted on multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. Her attorney cousin was disbarred, and her husband resigned as commissioner. Brock pleaded guilty to evidence tampering. Tamsin avoided charges by testifying and now teaches free yoga at the community center. 6 months later, spring returned to Pinterest. Potholes repaired by honest contractors, the pool reopened, and a new playground rose from embezzled funds recovered. My daughter and grandkids visited again. I began dating Colleen, a retired nurse I met over deck screws at the hardware store. Woodshop in the garage thrummed with activity as I taught Jean's grandson carpentry. At our August meeting, I proposed the Montgomery Chen Scholarship Fund, $5,000 a year for local students pursuing trades and public service, unanimously approved. Iris's grandson would be the first recipient. I launched TakeBackHOA.org, sharing template FOIA requests, sample cease and desist letters, property plat guides, and state-by-state HOA law summaries. In the first month, we had 15,000 visitors and 2 state hearings on mandatory HOA audits and term limits. One evening on the porch, I texted a stranger in Florida, "Pull your deed and HOA plat from the county clerk, compare them, then we talk." Because bullies rely on silence and isolation, we chose transparency and community, and won. If you'd like more stories like these, please like and subscribe.